You are listening to the Tech to Trade podcast, sponsored by publiclytradedpodcasts.com. Tech to Trade creates informative audio interviews with the CEOs of technology-based companies. From new solar equipment to software development, virtual reality, augmented reality, and mobile applications, cloud communications, digital sensors, drones, and high-tech scientific instruments. Tech to Trade shines a spotlight on publicly traded companies that are bringing to life the technologies to propel us into a brighter future. And now, your host, Marcus Heatherly.
On today's episode of Tech to Trade, we're excited to spotlight a company, Financial Gravity Companies, Inc. They're a financial technology company that provides integrated tax, business, and financial solutions. Their clients include small business owners, entrepreneurs, high net worth individuals, and small accounting firms and financial advisors. And with us today is their CEO, John Pollock. Mr. Pollock, welcome to our show. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Mr. Pollock brings his "it can be done" attitude and philosophy to the first national tax firm dedicated to helping small business owners. He is a frequent contributor to various media outlets, including the Fox Radio Network and Forbes, and he hosts the Financial Gravity podcast, which you can find at financialgravity.com. Mr. Pollock, if you could tell myself and my Tech to Trade listeners a little bit about your personal history and your business, Financial Gravity Companies, Inc.
Well, Financial Gravity is a typical entrepreneurial story. It's sprung from a problem. I had just started getting into the financial services world. I started in my mid-30s, so I wasn't the typical financial advisor that started straight out of college. So I was late to the game, so to speak. But because of that, I had a different perspective, and I hated the industry almost immediately. It seemed like a top-down, hammer looking for a nail, product-driven industry that really wasn't looking out for the best interest of the client, and that bothered me. So that was the first piece. The second piece was the tax part. I started having success. I started making more money than I ever dreamed I would have made, and I started getting hammered in taxes. And that's when I learned that if you double your income, your taxes actually go up 3 to 4x. If you triple your income, your taxes go up 5 to 6x. And it didn't seem fair. And at the time, it was during the first Obama election where I kept hearing rich people don't pay their fair share. And I wanted to be one of those not paying my fair share. And I wanted to figure out, how do I not pay my fair share? Because what I'm paying is well beyond fair. And that's when I started reaching out to the accounting community and found out that they don't know how to fix the problem, which is interesting because there's 650,000 CPAs and none of them are trained to help small business owners or entrepreneurs lower their personal income taxes. The A in CPA is accounting, which is basically a numbers historian. So the entire industry that's supposed to be serving me to help me solve my problem didn't. So now I'm in an industry where the financial services is selling stuff, not solving problems. And then I go to the accounting industry, which is supposed to be pure and the most respected industry, and they don't even solve the one problem that I want them to solve, which is, how do I legally pay less taxes? And that's where Financial Gravity was born, is this idea that, can't this be done at scale? And is anyone else doing it? So I spent a couple of years looking for a company to partner with. I didn't want to build this thing. I wanted just to find a company and sell their stuff.
Right.
Didn't exist. So I had to build it.
And you have built it.
Yes.
And so recently on July 16th, FGCO announced the Fueled Coaching Program for tax professionals. Can you tell us more about the recent announcement about this program?
So the way my kind of mind was working is, originally I wanted to be a matchmaker. How do I get financial advisors and accountants to kind of partner together in a holistic planning mode? That didn't work. And I believe the reason it didn't work is because they have different objectives. Accountants want to put numbers in boxes, and they want to do that either monthly in books or annually in tax returns. Most of them are that way. And financial advisors are looking for pools of assets. They either want to, put it in a product that they get a commission on, or put it in a product they can earn fees on. So their goals were not aligned, and neither of them were working for the client. They're kind of working for themselves, trying to accomplish the client's goals, but it was all for themselves. So I couldn't do the matchmaking, and I tried, believe me. So I started to develop a model where I can systematically help a client and and basically feed both the financial services industry and the accounting industry. The Fuel Pro coaching program sprung from that. What happened was the accountants don't know how to run businesses, a holistic business. They know how to run a fees and forms business, and they're in trouble. They don't even know. Some of them don't know it, but some do. Is the fees and forms businesses are going away. Robots will be able to do what accountants are doing today fast. I'm thinking 3 to 5 years on the low end, 10 years on the high end. But it's as you see accounting today, it will be gone. So, but yet the accountant's the most trusted advisor. So how do we get them to shift their focus away from numbers and boxes, fees and forms, to a more holistic planning model? And that's what Fueled Coaching was designed to do, is to teach systematically how to run a business. When do you use marketing? How much do you spend on it? How do you hire people? Some of the stuff that isn't taught in CPA class. They're taught how to put numbers in boxes. They're not taught how to run a business.
Financial education, folks. Financial Gravity Companies, Inc. There who we're spotlighting today. We have Mr. John Pollock with us. Speaking of people, teams are made up of great people. On July 23rd, you guys announced the addition of Scott Winters to your board of directors. How do you think him taking over a more active role will help you guys build your brands and services?
Scott has built a multi-million-dollar business and exited it. So he built a third-party asset management platform, a TAMP, 10, 15 years ago. I've known Scott actually since 2007. So actually that's when he started. So it's about 12 years ago when he started his firm. We were one of his biggest advisors, and I really liked Scott. I thought we were complementary in our styles. And when someone's done it, you kind of want them looking over your shoulder and saying, yeah, I wouldn't do that. And, keep doing what you're doing there. Stop doing what you're doing over here. And, Scott is a good complement to my big personality, and he's done it. So he was an advisory board member. He had a non-compete when he sold his business, so we had to wait till that was up so that he could join our board of directors. And so now he's been in a couple of meetings, and he's going to start contributing in a lot of roles in a lot of different ways, which many of you will see coming up in the next year, actually.
Exciting. It's always good to have people around that you can trust, especially when you've seen them be successful and you can put their words with their actions and know you can trust that.
Yeah, and there's no books on what we're doing. I mean, I can't read a book, how to be public and how to be a public CEO, and this is the stuff that you're going to be dealing with. It's just there isn't anything out there. Maybe one day I'll write one, but it's really remarkable the stuff I've learned, and there's no information on it.
And I think we're at a synergistic time in our society where information is really valuable, and you guys have tapped into key information. So speaking of recent news, July 30th, you guys launched your program for certified public accountants and enrolled agents. Could you please explain a little more in detail how this will help CPAs and EAs transition into the future?
So this goes back to the Fueled conversation, but the Fractional Family Office, I trademarked this 6 years ago, and this was an idea I had over 8 years ago. So this has been, the old saying, it's an overnight success that took 8 years.
Yes.
It's the launch is very satisfying. The launch actually is August 1st. So it's exciting because what it is it's allowing us to kind of create a business model around the accountant as a trusted advisor for the 21st century. There's only 2 things that a small business owner wants from an accountant. Number 1, lower personal income taxes, and number 2, numbers that help them run their business. And most accountants provide neither of those 2 things, which is staggering. That an industry as big as it is not serving the 2 things that every entrepreneur and small business owner wants from their vendor. So we've designed a business model to serve up those 2 things and put the accountant in the center of that universe and teach the accountant to stop putting numbers in boxes and start reading the numbers in the boxes and telling me what they mean. Most business owners cannot read a profit and loss and a balance sheet. Accountants can. So why aren't they telling me what it means and how I can turn the screw just a little bit to increase my profit margin, lower my costs? That's where accountants are best served serving their clients, which is looking at the numbers and telling us what they mean and how that impacts our businesses. Most people don't understand that accounting it's not linear. It's not, I make $1, I have a 15% profit margin, so I made 15 cents. It doesn't quite work that way. So it's pretty messy, and the people that understand it aren't teaching anybody. So we've created a business model where they're at the center of the small business owner's universe, and all the decisions are going to be made through tax planning and then served up. If they need a 401k, the accountant's going to make that recommendation. We'll help them do that. If they need to sell their business and not pay any taxes on it, we have vendors that will help with that, but the accountant's going to see that, and they're going to be the quarterback. So it's a really exciting business model. The resonance in the marketplace has actually stunned even me. I thought it was a good idea when I came up with it. I mean, a family office is what the rich people use. I mean, if you have $30 million in assets or more,
yes,
rich people have family offices. And my idea was, can't we fractionalize that and get that down to the average Joe that owns, 2 franchise Subways or something? And it took us 8 years to figure out how to do it, and we are launching it. Very excited.
Fractional Family Office, folks. Mr. John Pollock here with Financial Gravity Companies, Inc., giving us details on really the process to birth what I think can help a lot of folks out there. So all my investors that are listening right now, make sure that your CPAs are aware of this program. I think it's something that can benefit everybody. He's not talking about getting away from tax liabilities.
Nope.
He's talking about your accountants understanding the rules and regulations to reduce yours, which I think everybody out there should be educated on. John, is there anything that we didn't get to talk about that you'd like to spotlight before I say goodbye to you today?
Yeah, I mean, I would highlight the fact that the tax code is an embarrassment of riches and no one's tapping into it. So that's kind of our business model, is to tap into that and make decisions around being as tax efficient as possible, paying the least amount legally allowed by law. We follow, everything we do is legal. We don't have to break the laws. The laws are actually really, really good. So let's just follow them. And the technology that we're building to support this is where your listeners can come in. We're designing the technology. It's actually designed. We're now building it out so that some of this stuff will happen automatically using, obviously, everybody's using AI, so we're using it as well. So we're always looking for more investors and more clients that we can help. So clients actually are investors too, because by paying us, that gives us the money to continue to build the business model for the masses. Well,
I do appreciate you coming on today, folks. Take a look at them. They're on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol FGCO. They've been skyrocketing it up lately and probably will continue to go that route with information and stuff that they have in the works. So, John, I do thank you for your time and hope that you come on in the future when you have more information to share with our listeners. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
This audio interview was entirely sponsored and produced by Publicly Traded Podcasts, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided in this audio interview are those of the guests and those of the respective companies that they represent, and do not necessarily reflect those of the team or management of Publicly Traded Podcasts. All listeners of this audio interview are encouraged to do their due diligence and research when planning and executing investment strategies. We strongly recommend seeking the assistance of an investment professional. The guests interviewed may have paid for an extended audio distribution package and are in no way affiliated with Publicly Traded Podcasts or their audio distribution partners.